this is one interesting story. It's involving the Zellers stores, and if you're not sure, Zellers stores are stores in Canada. It's kind of like a general store, and they sell, certain kinds of food. Generally not fresh food, but like crackers and chips. They sell clothing and bikes and hardware and toys and lots of different items. Sort of like a Walmart or a Target. Not really like a Sears. Sears would be like a higher end store, but that's what they sell. And Zellers was doing reasonably well last few decades in Canada and had lots of stores. But the last decade or so, Zellers was on the decline, especially with the entrance of Walmart in the late '90s into Canada. Then Zellers started feeling the heat, and they couldn't compete with pricing and all those other things. So Zellers was on the decline. So Target from the States decided, you know what? Maybe it's a good idea to head up into Canada. We can take over the Zellers stores, and then we can compete with Walmart and improve our market share in other places other than the United States. So a few years ago, they had a few legal battles about like a clothing line. It's called Fairweather or something like that, and that was resolved, and all these other issues. And they dumped dozens of millions of dollars into each store to renovate them, to have a newer appearance, to organize things a certain way. And as time has been going on in Canada, especially for large stores, there are a lot of regulations and compliancy issues that they have to deal with before they're actually able to enter the market. So now the federal government is acting a little bit strange, but they want to make sure that Target, let's take a look at the story here. So under a federal ruling announced Friday, makes the American retailer to take over Zeller stores across the country, and that they have to have a requirement to sell Canadian cultural goods for exchange for entering the market. So it's a little bit strange. It even says here, however, it left one cultural industry group wondering why Target, a discount retailer, had to go through the federal review when other companies such as Walmart had not. So it does seem odd, Walmart is a much larger company, and it's much more American in a lot of ways. If people are worried about, quote unquote Canadian content or culture, and they didn't have those regulations, and they still don't. And yet Target's coming up, and then no, you have to have all these. You have to have Canadian content and all these Canadian items. And the fact that it's so vague, it doesn't even say well, what is Canadian items? Like, do they have to have a certain amount of percent? Has to be like maple syrup? Is it a percentage of items have to be made in Canada? So even if it's not really a Canadian item like instant noodles, but it's made in Canada, does that fill in there? Are they going to be selling lots of poutine or just a whole bunch of hockey sticks? And by the way, most hockey sticks are made in China anyways. So what does that mean? So it does seem odd that they would require them to do that. They also require, according to this, the cabinet decision says Target must invest $3.5 billion in its Canadian stores, which includes hiring up to 25,000 people by 2012, or about 100 to 200 employees at each store. So why do they have to hire a certain amount of people? What if a store can work with 50 people and it's making money? And if they hire 100 people, they start losing money. But according to this, they have to hire a certain amount of people. So why are they mandating that? That doesn't sound like a free market. That doesn't sound like capitalism. That doesn't sound like freedom. That sounds like bureaucrats are saying, we want you to hire these people, whether or not it makes sense as a business. So if Target can't make money, and they have to hire all these people because they're just mandated just to get into the market, then maybe they'll just close the stores. I don't understand why politicians can't see the difference. If a store can run well with 80 people, why do they have to hire 100 people? That doesn't make any sense. It's very strange why they would do that, and it's not going to bode well for other stores that are looking to come into Canada, do business. Because the more that the government gets involved in business and makes it difficult for businesses to comply with all these regulations and things, and these things don't protect consumers. They don't, it's not like you can't have lead in your toys or anything like that. It's more of a, we just mandate you because, we're the politicians and we're getting votes. I think that the government has to understand that if they want a business to work, they have to let a business to work. They can't just go in there thinking that they know better than other people. And now, the first comment, I'm just taking a look at this. This guy correctly, points out something. Why is this only being decided now after a whole bunch of Zellers stores have already been closed down for conversion? If the feds had said no today, would that mean places like Chinook would have lost an anchor store permanently? Why wasn't this decided upon before the store closing sales began? So, I mean, this is another issue too, right? Why are they, if the deal was at the beginning and Target can go, okay, we accept these deals, even though it doesn't make much sense, we accept these terms. At least you're telling them at the beginning. At this point, they've probably invested hundreds of millions of dollars just in renovations and legal battles and naming and all these things and getting all the contracts ready and distribution, hiring purchasing managers and getting ready for hiring for other positions. And then now you say, well, no, you have to hire X amount of people and you have to have a certain amount of content, which is very vague and we haven't specified. So if people think that Canada is a real free market country, that we really believe in capitalism, that we really believe in freedom, I think this is just another example where the government is saying, no, we know better than you, and if you don't listen to us, well, too bad.